question comes from Samuel Rosenberg from Boxing Channel TV. Samuel, your line is open.
All right, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this fight, guys. My first question is for Kathy. Kathy, I was wondering what you would compare this fight to historically, since you've been promoting your own boxing for so long. I'm just curious if you can compare it to anything, really, and why.
Well, I guess the easiest comparison would be to the first time two undefeated fighters fought for pound supremacy, and that was, we were involved when it was Meldrick Taylor versus Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. And that was, main events promoted Meldrick Taylor, so we have been here before. We have also, of course, been involved in a lot of major fights involving people like Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis and Troy Gaddy and Pernell Whitaker and on and on and on. But I have to say, this is the first time where we've taken a guy who didn't, we talked about this earlier, who didn't come out with an Olympic medal, who didn't come out with the heralded amateur career, because Sergey did indeed have an amateur career where he clearly learned a lot. But, the first time we've taken someone who nobody expected to this level of achievement, and for that we were really proud and really happy, and this makes it a different kind of excitement for us. I think, as Dan pointed out earlier about fighters like Andre Ward, they're expected to succeed at this level. It's a lot more fun when nobody expects you to do it. So we're having a lot of fun.
Right, from the ground up, I hear you.
I can say more, excuse me. That everybody in the world want to see that somebody will kick my ass, right? But it's not possible. It's not until I still alive.
It's not happening. Yeah, right. And it depends who you ask, though, Sergey. Some people don't want to see that,
No, some people want to see you kick their ass.
Believe it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
No. Believe me, a lot of haters around me, and believe me, yeah, and a lot of haters wish me to lose, and I hear this from some people, but it's new motivation for me. I really like to disappoint these people.
Right. I'm sure you do, and a lot of people like seeing it. Well, my next question is actually for John. John, I'm curious if you can go back to the Bernard Hopkins fight and tell us more about the game plan, what the game plan was, and why it worked against Bernard.
Well, first of all, Bernard, he's an old fighter. And even though he said he was alien, he was execution and all that, bottom line, he's an old fighter. And you had to treat him like a fighter. You had to make him work. You had to make him do things that he didn't want to do to get him out of the comfort zone. And, again, a good jabber would always be Bernard. Hard, trouble guys at the jab. So I knew Sergey has an excellent, wonderful jab. So we had to use the jab to offset Bernard's trickery. That was the difference between the Bernard fight. Bernard, he was very well schooled. He understood the game. He was just older. He couldn't do things that he once did. It's easier for us.
Right. All right. Well, hey, thank you, everybody. I look forward to the fight a lot, and seeing y'all.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Dax Khan from Hawken Boxing. Dax, your line is open.
Hi, how's everybody doing today? My first question is for Kathy. Kathy, when I was on the call for the Kovalev-Hopkins fight, I remember you saying specifically, when Sergey wins, don't go around and start saying he beat an old man. And that's exactly what happened, not only by fans, but a lot of media outlets. If he beats Ward, no matter which fashion, do you see a lot of the same criticism, whether it's going to be Ward was really a super middleweight, despite what John David Jackson brought up, a valid point on Ward always being the bigger fighter? Is it going to be the long layoff, nagging injuries? Do you think at all will Sergey get full credit no matter how he wins?
As Sergey points out, haters going to hate. There's always going to be somebody who's going to say something, but I I will not accept those excuses either because, if you look at the picks the reporters are making, the betting line, if anything, it favors Ward a little bit, which is awesome because it's always so much better to be the underdog. And as we've been talking on this call, having it not be expected. But Ward, in the position he's in, for better or worse, is expected to win. That's who he is. That's the guy he's always been. This is the guy who's never lost a fight since he was a child. Well, you put that out there, then you've got to defend that. And we don't think he can. But when it's over, I hope Sergey gets the credit he deserves because it'll be a whole lot. This is a tough fight.
As a promoter, does it not frustrate you the fact that Ward was pretty much inactive for 2 years? He had promotional problems, he had his injuries, and all the other type of things. Meanwhile, Sergey has been out there collecting the belts, unifying the belts, fighting top names, and it seems that Sergey is the B side here when actually he should be the A side. As a promoter, does that make you shake your head at all?
No, to me, he's not the B side. His name is first on the poster. He does have the world titles, and I think that designation of A and B side it's an unfortunate thing in many cases. There certainly are fights like that, but when you have two guys and we can argue all night over who's going to win, there's no A side and there's no B side. We have two great fighters fighting each other. Sergey holds the title right now. Ward has held the title in the past. Ward is a legendary fighter. Sergey is trying to become one. They're at little different points in their legacy aspects of their careers, but nevertheless, this is the fight we wanted. There was no frustration on our side. The only frustration was that we wanted to do it sooner. But we had to wait, and so we did. And Ward has had his fights that he needed, and no excuses. This is in my mind, again, there are fights that defy that A side, B side description, and I think this is one of them.
Thank you. My next question is for John David Jackson. John, we all know how hard Sergey hits. We all know, as you stated before, how Andre Ward can adapt, how he frustrates opponents. But Sergey's last 4 opponents, Bernard Hopkins, Isaac Chilemba, or his last 3 opponents, Bernard Hopkins, Isaac Chilemba, and John Pascal, each one of those represents the very best of each of Andre Ward's biggest asset. Bernard Hopkins in that fight, Sergey truly, in my opinion, showed a lot of composure and patience. Isaac Chilemba is the guy who really is known to make his opponents, have to use the whole entire ring. You're not able to just bum rush him. And with John Pascal, you have a guy who has always been known to have, a rock-solid chin, very awkward, and he makes guys fight styles that they don't want to. Do you actually think outside the gym that these 3 opponents actually pretty much built Sergey up, preparing him for this fight before the fight was even signed?
I like your analysis. To a degree, maybe. But, listen, Sergey, what people don't realize is Sergey can fight almost against any style. He's very intelligent in the ring. He knows how to eventually solve the fighter's defensive mechanisms or whatever. So, those 3 fights that helped him prepare for this fight, I think that Sergey would have found a way to solve the riddle of Andre Ward. Andre can be a little more difficult because he can try to be a little more invasive. That's the only thing that I see that's different. Bernard was more intelligent in the ring. I think Pascal had more power. And so I think those 2 fighters helped him prepare in a way for this fight here. Ward's just going to be a little bit more craftier and try to be more evasive, and that's what we have to work on, and that's what we have worked on. He's not going to be offensively a big problem. I mean, if he does, then guess what? He's rolling the dice, and he's aiming. If you're going to engage and exchange, then you leave yourself vulnerable and wide open for shots. And I don't think he's going to do that, especially once he gets hit by Sergey. But I think from an evasive standpoint, he'll try to be very evasive and try to avoid all of Sergey's power shots. So that's the difference in the fight. How evasive can he be? And if he's real evasive, that means he's not fighting. So how can you win a fight if you're just an evasive fighter? He has to stand and fight eventually.